Okay, and so now we are going to see how to loop over objects. So as we discussed earlier, for in should not be used for arrays, but in objects we can very well use this comfortably. Something like this, that let's say there is an object, some object is there, and then you are using this syntax for in, and then these keys will be the key in each iteration will be a b. These are string keys, we know, right, in objects. And then we can use obj key to access those values. So it will be very much easy. So let's say take the same object and let's use for in, and let's have this key thing, and then this obj thing, and this is like just auto completion. So this has own property we have not discussed right now, but this is not needed for now. We discussed that prototypal chain things we discussed, right? So those things, when we will discuss, then we'll see those things. Right now we'll simply see that we can simply have something like this, and it will this will be obj, and it will give me all the values, but what if I want key? So basically this key is all the strings, all the keys of the object, right? So if we key comma value we are printing, then these keys are foo and a, okay, and values are bar and 5, okay. So this is like a clean way to iterate over objects, right? Now there is something called object.keys, object.values, object.entries in object. So basically they are static methods available on object. Okay. So what happens is that when we have an object, then we can write something like object.keys. So right now we saw that, yeah, this for in always gives us key, but we can separately write let's say object dot keys, and in that we can pass our object, and we will get our all the keys. So obviously we have to print that to see that. So let's see this. So you see that we have got all the keys. What are the keys? Foo is a key, a is a key, and again all the keys are strings, you know, right? And that's why this is printed like this. But again there are two more things. There is something called values, and there is something called entries. Okay, so let's see one by one. So what is values? In values, if you see, then you will get all the values like bar and 5. Okay, so these are the keys, these are the values. But if you want to get keys values all at once, then you can use something like object.entries, where it will give you keys and values both. Now you see that this is something like this, something like an array of array. Okay, so this is an array of array, which means that it is an array where each item is a tuple, okay, of two values, and the first value is the key, second value is its value. Again the second tuple is, the first value is key, and the second thing is value. Okay, so you can iterate over it, right, if you want. Now I have these things, right? So now this is a normal array, object keys, object values, object entries, these are normal arrays. And then we can normally use array methods, right, like for each loop, for loop, or for off loop. Those things we can use to iterate over it. We'll see that soon. But just now I mentioned that what are keys, what is values, what are entries, and we can now use for off loop to iterate over it. Yeah, so let's take an example of firstly for simple keys. So let's say this object.keys, right? We know that this thing is foo a, but what if I want to iterate over it? So I can take this, and what I can write is that I can write my own for what are the things. This will give me some keys, right? So let's name the values accordingly. So for off, so you understand that why I am writing something like this, because uh, because what is happening is that once the variable naming is there, it becomes very much clear that what these values represent, right? If you write this item, then you will be confused, right? You know that keys gives me all the keys, and that's why you name it something like k or key. Then it will be clear that what are you printing, right? And then you will see that you get foo and a. And now if you get let's say values, then I know that these are values. So let's name the values properly. You can write v, or you can write item, whatever, okay, to signify that these are values, not keys. And you will again see that I will get the values. But again we know that entries is something which gives key values both, a tuple or pair, right? So let's give it a name, let's say pair. And if I print this, then you'll see that all the key value pairs are printed. Key and its value, key and its value, it is printed like that, right? And if you want to have access to it separately, then obviously you can do a destructured assignment, something like, let's say, key value, kv represents key value, and then pair represents those things, and that's why I will destructure it, and then I can print kv, and which will represent the key and values, right? And if I print this, then I will get key and its value, key and its value. One more thing, rather than declaring it a variable and structuring it here, actually you can directly write here only that thing, k comma b, because in a sense this is also sort of a assignment, creating a new variable, right? So you can directly write here also that destructuring assignment thing, and it will work fine. So you can see that the same thing, foo bar and a5 will come here also. And again, what you have done with keys, you can do with values, you can do with entries, which we have seen, right, in that sense. And again, these are like normal arrays, right? So you can use any other way. I just showed you an example of for off, but you can use, like, for example, for each loop also you can use, and it will work very much fine. So for example, I can simply use, yeah, I have this, I know that all these things are all these things is an array, then I can do something like for each, and then yeah, I have to write a callback. And you can use normal for loop also, right? So in the normal for loop, you understand, in normal for loop, basically you are going to just have index, and instead of array dot length, you define some arr, right? And let's say that arr, const arr, is whatever, is this thing, object dot entries obj, like that you can declare, and then you can use like that also, right? The again, you have to handle this properly here, because these are not this arr I is not a value, arr I will be a pair, you understand? So it will be a pair. So if you print the pairs, then you'll see that you will get, let me show you, you will get the pairs, right? So you have to properly again handle it. To if you want to get the key, then you have to take 0, you have to get the value, then you have to get the first integer, or you can simply do a destructured assignment, something like this, key value, so the first is key, second is item, and then you can do, right? And again, since it is a normal array, I can use for each also, right? So for example, here I will see that yeah, I know that this is a pair, okay? So I will print those pairs here, and this will work fine, okay? And again, you can again destructure it directly here also. So let's say I can write kv, or you can restructure later, but anyways, there also in function arguments also, if you have not observed this earlier, we can directly destructure in function arguments also, rather than taking that value, name something in pair, and later do const kv is equal to pair. Rather than doing that, we can directly destructure here also, and again this thing will work fine. Key value we have printed. Okay, so that is it. These are the ways in which you can iterate over iterate over objects. In the next video, we are going to look at some more operations on arrays.